Week 9 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few running backs. I have his sleeper options this week. The first guy, Deion Jackson of the Indianapolis Colts. First 2 days of the week here during practices. Jonathan Taylor, he hasn't been seen. The last week we saw him getting that ankle taped up on the sideline. So Deion Jackson, he's filled in early in the season for Jonathan Taylor, and he played some good football. And now with Nyheim Hines traded away for Bills, even though I know Zach Moss came to town here for Indianapolis, Deion Jackson's obviously the backup. And right now we've seen what he's done when Taylor was out in Week 5 and Week 6. Week 5 at Denver, 13 carries, 62 yards, 4 catches, 29 yards. And then Week 6 versus Jacksonville, what a ball game it was for him. 12 carries, 42 yards, a touchdown, and 10 catches for 79 yards. So Jackson, he could do it all. He's a 3-down type of back, good pass protection, catches the ball out of the backfield, and he's a physical runner as well in between the tackles from what we've seen. I know this week a tough matchup if he does become the starter in this one if Taylor's out. Versus the Patriots, I give up the least amount of fantasy points to running backs on the season. But this week here with 6 teams on bye and Jackson, who has good receiving prowess out of the backfield here, he's definitely a sleeper. And if he's out there on your waiver wire, this is the time to get him as well before it's too late. Available in 57% of fantasy leagues. The next guy is Ronnie Rivers, Los Angeles Rams. So Ronnie Rivers last week, he led the backfield in touches, out touching 12-6 to Darrell Henderson. So 8 carries, 21 yards, 4 catches, 15 yards. And he's definitely a deep league dart throw. No doubt about it is Ronnie Rivers. Right now, still available in 97% of fantasy leagues. A tough matchup this week at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that give up the third least amount of fantasy points to running backs on the season. But right here, he's a small back, no doubt about it. He's definitely a guy that can help in the passing game, though, I think. Here's Rivers coming out of the backfield, catching the football. So right now, I know it's a carousel of running backs over there in Los Angeles, but Rivers might be, once again this week, the guy that leads the backfield. I know Henderson's there. Kyren Williams, we might see him get an expanded role. Cam Akers could be back in the mix since he didn't get traded at the trade deadline. And we'll just see. But right now in deeper leagues, if you're in a pinch for a running back, I got Rivers as a sleeper this week. And the third and final running back I have as a sleeper this week here is Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Pacheco, he was named the starter a couple weeks ago before the bye week here. And nothing came out of it pretty much, where Jared McKinnon led the backfield in snaps in that game where he had 8 carries, 43 yards. But Pacheco this season, about 5 yards a carry he's averaging. So right here, not the greatest of matchups in Week 9 for him versus the Titans. I give up the 8th least amount of fantasy points to running backs on the season. But right now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he hasn't done much this year. Besides scored touchdowns, would have saved a couple of his fantasy days. But besides that, the yards have been low, not making plays. And Pacheco's a guy that's hungry, obviously, and a 7th-round pick that's trying to prove he belongs in the NFL. And obviously, he wants to start, and we've seen it. He runs hard. He runs through defenses here. And I think this week after the bye week, they're going to integrate him in a little more, is Pacheco. And he's available, surprisingly, still in 69% of fantasy leagues. So if he's out there and you got a bench spot to stash a player, this would be the time to stash Pacheco this week. And he's a sleeper as well. So that's a few running backs I have his sleepers here for Week 9 of the fantasy football season.